Good morning. I hope all of you are safe and healthy and happy and positive. I'm Prathibha Prahlad and I'm speaking for NTAB Edtalks. Um, and as all of you know, NTAB has been doing very, very good service in the CSR section for education for over 20 years. And they've asked me to do these live streaming talks for the campus education fraternity. I'm really happy to be connecting with all of you this morning, and I hope all of you are staying positive and happy because ultimately everyone's goal is to be happy. You know, ancient Indians had a way of life where they knew that a life that is contained in oneself, which was spiritually rich, which was artistically rich, had meaning and fulfillment. Somewhere along the line we kind of lost track of what was happening, and we started believing that our lives were more about what we could consume, what we could, how much we could earn, our stature in society, what, how the big bungalows we lived in, the kind of money that we had. And we thought that these were the definitions of life. We started, we somehow disconnected with reality. And that is what has brought us to this, precipice, the edge of the precipice, as I call it right now. Because what is very, very important, according to me, is to have a life that is moderate in everything that you do. And if you have discipline in your life, if you are able to relate to yourself, because you see a lot of people have been sitting at home for the last 12 days, and their biggest problem is that they cannot sit still because they don't have a relationship with themselves. The first relationship that a human being has to have is with himself or herself, and that is really of prime importance. If you're comfortable being alone, you're comfortable being by yourself, you have things to do in your life which can keep you occupied, which can keep you productive, which can keep you constructive, and which can help you work with your mind, your heart, your hands, the body that God has given you, then your life is complete. What you're able to achieve in this space where you're total, you're complete, and you put your energies into is much, much, much more valuable than all the wealth that you can accumulate, you know, working for somebody else or undercutting somebody else or, or doing things that don't make you happy, because ultimately life is about happiness. Like I said, ancient Indians lived a spiritually and artistically rich life. Everything they did had an element of art in it, from greeting each other with folded palms, which essentially said, I bow to the divine in you. Namaste, namaskar. I bow to the divine in you. They recognized that divinity existed in every human being. They said, just like I have divinity inside of me, you have divinity inside of you. So I bow to that divine inside of you. Have you noticed, strangely, in the last 1 month, all that we've been hearing is social distancing, social distancing, social distancing. What is it? I mean, they're saying, oh, don't kiss each other, don't hug each other, don't shake hands, do namaste, do namaskar, bow to the divine in another human being. And that is what is important. Why is this important? It's important because by doing so, you're recognizing that every human being is divine, is a divine being. And it's also making dhyana and yoga a part of your everyday practice. The ancient Indians, their homes had um, art, their hearth had art. Rangoli used to be, drawn outside everybody's homes every morning. I mean, did you know that in a large part of India, I mean, there were no multi-storied buildings then, There were homes, some small homes, some medium sized homes, some large homes, but they were all houses, houses, big, big houses, medium sized houses, small houses. And outside everyone's doorstep used to be a granite stone. And every morning, people would come out and pour water on the granite stone. And they would clean it, they would sweep it, they would swab it clean, and then they would put rangoli outside the door. Lovely, beautiful rangoli drawings, everything. Rangoli is art. Rangoli is a practice where you're concentrating with your mind and your ability, to produce something beautiful out of your own hands. You're drawing out of your own hands. Some drew flowers, some drew, something else, some shapes, some forms, but Rangoli. Now, what is the significance of this? The significance of this is cleanliness. You keep the outside of your home clean, you keep the inside of your home clean. You keep the outside of your home. When someone looks at your home, they say, oh, what a beautiful rangoli. So, what a beautiful work of art. And inside of your home, when someone came in, they would also again appreciate this beautiful home that you had kept, where you had little, handicrafts or some sort of, painting or some work of art that you hung around. And everybody started their mornings with chanting. Now, you may ask me, how is chanting important? Chanting is important in many, many ways because chanting, A, clears your throat, it clears your vocal cords, it clears your lung space, and it brings your voice out. Now, God has given you voice. You recognize that, of course, that you are a living being because God has given you life and God has given you a voice. Now you clear that and say, oh, you're clearing your nasal cords, you're clearing your throat, you're clearing your lungs, and you're cleansing yourself of all negative thoughts and negative, ideas that may appear in your mind. So they would chant poetry, they would read literature, they would, do paintings and sculpture, and all this was done as an offering to the divine. Just like I said, Namaste, I bow to the divine in you. I recognize that everything around me is a creation of divinity. And I am so eternally grateful to be part of this divine, divine, divine space that God has brought me into. So basically, please understand that gratitude is important. Gratitude is important because you're thanking God for life, you're thanking God for your body, you're thanking God for your, health, you're thanking God for the relationships that you have, for your mother, your father, your brothers, your sisters, your friends. You're thanking God for having brought you in this beautiful, beautiful environment. And you're cleaning your homes. It's spick and span. All homes used to be spick and span. They used to, swab and sweep the house twice a day. I still remember when I was young, my mother's house, swabbing and sweeping would be a ritualistic practice every morning and every evening. And I would ask her, sometimes in the evenings, I would say, Mom, it's not dirty. So why are we doing it again? And she would say, no, it has to be so clean that there should be nothing negative entering our homes. So Hindus have always tried to explore inner consciousness, Sat Chidananda. Now, what is Sat Chidananda? Sat Chidananda is truth, it's consciousness, and it's bliss in everything they did. So one has to experience that totality, the totality of being, and the totality of doing, and the totality of becoming, and enjoy the process, not just the end result, but you have to enjoy the process. So Sat Chidananda meant recognizing that they had an inner consciousness, and truth, consciousness, and bliss was celebrated in everything they did. All pursued including artistic pursuit, was to reach beyond and attain bliss. Now you'll ask me, what is bliss? If everyday activity was bliss, then what was this attainment of bliss? Now, attainment of bliss was, like I'll come back to you and talk to you again and again because there's a limitation of time. But attainment of bliss was that every pursuit, artistic pursuit or otherwise, was to connect with God, connect with a higher level of consciousness, connect with that eternal being, connect with the multitudes, the millions of, planets in the solar system and beyond, and celebrate it and celebrate your own life. And when they spoke about bliss, they spoke about complete happiness and freedom from being reborn. So every pursuit was to attain God, every artistic pursuit was to attain God, and every pursuit was driven towards attaining moksha. So if dance was religion, singing was worship, and both were offered to God as devout prayer. So for us, our music, our dance, our painting, our sculpture was not merely entertainment. It was a process towards attaining bliss or moksha or a higher consciousness and becoming one with Godhood. I think we are well beyond time today. So, if permitted, I'll come back to you and I'll continue my talk. Have a great day. Stay safe, stay happy, and be well.